This episode of Linux Action Show is brought to you by GoDaddy.com.
And by Ting.com. Head over to last.ting.com and save $25 off your first device.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Linux Action Show, Season 27, Episode 7. My name is Chris.
My name is Matt.
Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning.
Should I tell folks about the big show?
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, coming up in the news segment, put on your flame retardant pants because we got a little issue we're going to get worked up.
Oh,
and it's not directed at you, but we need to talk. I'm just saying. And then in the /Etsy segment, we're going to look at the desktop submissions from the Linux Action Show audience and see how they're tricking out their rigs. And then in the meat of the show, we're going to talk about replacing Google Reader with some open source alternatives as well as some hosted and even one commercial alternative.
Nice. I like that.
But we're going to talk about how you can roll your own Google Reader replacement as well.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then we got an interesting little bit of feedback in the feedback section of the show.
Right on.
But first, Matt, it's
Yes.
our picks.
Looking forward to it.
All right, let's start with the Runs Linux. This one's kind of interesting. A shout out to the Mint project because the new Mint box mini PC runs Linux. Mint,
cool.
Mint Linux.
Now, we were talking earlier about the resemblance of this
The design.
machine. Looks a little bit like a VHS rewinder.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
well, so they have this top that pops,
Yeah, top that pops.
as the kids say, and I don't know if this pop top actually is really supposed to hold mints.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like it's running on certs, and I'm not really sure how I feel about
Kind
that.
of neat, though. I hope it ships
Can
with
you
the mints.
overclock breath mints?
But here's the important bits. It's got a couple of different CPU options. The Mint Box 2 is going to have the original one was an AMD. The Mint Box 2 is going to have an i5 chip.
That's better. That's
4
better.
gigabytes of RAM, standard 500 gigabyte hard drive, dual gigabit Ethernet, 5-year warranty.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I would have liked to have seen 8 megabytes of RAM, but...
$600 though.
Oh, no.
But, I
Try
think...
$399, son. I'm just saying.
Now you got to remember if you're a big Mint Linux project fan, 5% of that does go to the Linux Mint
That's
project.
true, but I think the price point could be a little better.
Yeah, but that's the Mint Box 2. There
Not
you
bad.
go.
Not bad.
And they say that they would have gone with i7, but it jumps the price to another $200.
That's fair. Some of that stuff's fixed.
And they say
Okay.
only a 5% difference in benchmarks.
Oh,
Neat
okay.
way to support your favorite Linux project, though, right?
Absolutely. And it stores stuff, and that's cool. You can't buy that.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't really seen a lot of other ones that have mints in them, Matt.
I like that.
That is, I think, our first Linux pick that we've had coffee makers. I don't think we've actually had a toaster.
But that would be awesome. I'd totally do that.
This is technically a Mint box. Oh, I see. You see?
Mint box. I get it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, hey, before we get going here, I want to just mention I was chatting with a friend of mine. You
friend
might
of
be
yours.
familiar with her. Her name is Danica Patrick. And Danica Patrick and I, close personal friends, and we chat Saturdays before the Linux Action Show. And I said, Danica, listen, GoDaddy.com, longtime sponsors.
Yes.
Long time. So this is her and I in this conversation. And she says,
Right.
Chris, you tell me this every freaking Saturday, and it drives me crazy. I said, baby, listen, I just wanted to remind you about our special relationship. And she's mad. She's totally cool about it. She's like, okay,
Sure,
I understand that, right? And so we continued to talk for a little bit, and I said, I need that Linux 249 code. The folks are loving Linux 249. They're getting .coms for $2.49. They're getting additional .coms for $9.99, and they can just keep getting those up to 10 of them, I think. I mean, it's crazy.
It's really
I said,
resonating with people. Yeah.
you know what, Matt? I believe resonating is exactly the thing Danica said. She said, you know what? I feel you. You're resonating with me, is what she said.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like you guys are on the same...
Yeah.
I wonder, do you have a Google Voice account with... Matt, you're not Danica, are you? You're not... All right. Well, so anyways, I believe I was talking to Danica, and she said, all right, I'm going to keep you to Linux 249. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let people get 32% off if they use the code GO32OFF2. You're going to get 32% off your entire order if that's your first order, whatever it is. But listen, this is not even live yet. This is how top secret this is. I'm not even kidding. You're going to have to wait a couple of days. You're going to have to sit on it until about the 2nd or the 3rd. She's got something she's working on right now. It's totally awesome. It's a special deal just for you guys. If you want free private registration for a year, use the code FREE3 when you check out.
Oh, man.
Right?
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. I've been wanting that so bad.
Danica knows you want your
awesome.
privacy. Danica
Of course
knows
she does.
about that.
I'm Danica.
So use the code for what? Use the
I
code
didn't say nothing.
FREE3 when you check out. And you got to wait a couple of days. You got to wait till about the 2nd or 3rd of July to use this because it's a limited time thing, and Danica's breaking into the data center over the weekend.
So time is a factor.
Yeah, time
Okay.
is a factor.
Okay.
Use the code FREE3 in a couple of days to get free private registration. But if you're just getting a .com Linux 249 to get that .com for $2.49. Thanks to GoDaddy for the long time awesome support of the Linux Action, and those guys right there. Look, you're
Absolutely.
kind of like that guy.
Absolutely. And thanks to Google Voice. I mean, nothing. Yeah, that's right.
What? Google what?
No,
Oh.
Google Voice. No.
Anyways,
Anyways,
moving
I
on
wasn't
to our Android app pick, Matt. This one actually ties in with our Google
yes.
Reader replacement segment. So,
Very timely.
because this isn't going to be applicable to everybody,
Yep.
I've also made a bonus best of pick. One of our best of.
Nice. Okay, cool.
One of our. I looked back at our Android picks and said this is one of our all-time favorites. So
Little bonus.
it's that'll be more applicable to more folks.
Nice.
But I want to tell you about TT-RSS for the Android in the Android App Store. If you're familiar with TT-RSS, this is a self-hosted RSS system that replaces Google Reader. It even imports all your Google OPML feeds. We'll talk more about that later in the show. They have a pro version available and a free version available. And what this thing does is it connects out to your TT-RSS installation, be it on a GoDaddy VPS or be it on your own hosted server here at home. And then it pulls in and syncs all of the RSS feeds with your own hosted web application. So you get a synced news reader
Right.
that is using your own personal
Oh, so you
RSS feed
control
database.
end to end. I'm liking that.
It has all of the standard abilities you'd expect from an Android app, like you can share to the various services in Android. If you have a news story that you want to put on Twitter or you want to
I love the sharing factor.
send to Instapaper, you can do it from the app inside
cool.
TT-RSS. It's the free version's great, but the paid version gives you some additional features. It syncs, crazy fast. I was
going to say that was just bam.
Did you
right?
see how fast
that was? Crazy.
Yeah, it's because it's pulling right off my own local LAN.
Great.
I'm not going out to Google Reader. I'm reading this right off my own hard drive in the other
So
room.
the performance differences are night and day.
It's awesome, dude. It's totally awesome. And then the fact that I can from in here be like, all right, kick this out to Instapaper. All right, kick this out to Instapaper. Makes it really fast to plow through my different feeds. I actually have been enjoying reading it on the phone quite a bit. So that's TT-RSS Reader. It is a GPL app as well, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Added bonus.
The source is available on GitHub, and by buying it, you're supporting the TT-RSS project, which is really awesome as well.
Very cool.
So that's my main Android pick. But since that's not going to work for everybody, because maybe everybody has their own TT-RSS installation, gotta tell you about one of Matt and my personal favorite Android app picks, AirDroid.
Love these guys.
Right? Now, what's great is AirDroid works with whether your device is rooted or not, although it feels like it's rooted.
It feels like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just updated towards the end of June, so it's a new fresh version of AirDroid's out. And the best way to explain it is it runs a web app on your Android device. It starts up a little web server and then gives you a desktop-like experience where you can manage files, manage music, pictures, your contacts, your maps, all that kind of stuff through a web browser on your desktop.
I love it. And one thing I've loved doing with it is, like, let's say I want to pop a ringtone on my phone real fast, and I don't want to deal with all that USB tethering
That's
nonsense.
right, Matt. That's right.
Boom! Get it done.
Kapow! That's
Same.
right. That's right. So that's AirDroid, one of our favorites, and you can find that linked in the show notes as well. And I think it's free. I've had it for so long. I don't show the price.
Yeah, it is free. And what was also cool is that you can do it Wi-Fi or, more recently, over 3G as well, or 4G as
Yeah.
case maybe.
Right on, Matt. Right on.
Right on.
Power to the people, Matt. Power to the people. Okay. So those are two great apps to get your Android affairs in order.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about an app that I've actually mentioned on TechSnap before, and I mentioned in the privacy section of this show. But it's kind of a follow-up. It's called BitMessage, and we've talked about it when we covered different ways to stay secure on Linux. And I want to give another mention because they just did an update on June 28th, and I'm running this on Arch here, so I've got the absolute freshest.
That's
and
awesome.
I've been hearing from a ton of people that have been using it. So if you'd like to help us continue, now, it's BitMessage is still in early development, but it's a very innovative project. It's a P2P communications protocol that sends encrypted messages from the very beginning, and you can send them from one person or many subscribers. It's decentralized and trustless, meaning that you need to not inherently trust any entities like a root certificate authority or anything like that.
Okay.
It uses strong authentication, which means the sender of the message cannot be spoofed, and it aims to hide non-content data, like the sender and receiver of the message. So passive eavesdropping, aka NSA metadata collection, doesn't function with this type of network because you can't even get the to and from by watching the wire.
It's immaterial at that point.
Right, because it's all based on a question and answer math system.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's BitMessage. It's open source. It's early days, but it's a really innovative system. It does take a little bit of CPU power, so be prepared for that because it is crunching math, and it is keep the network
So
secure.
a nice modern system will do you well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been corresponding with people on BitMessage, and what's neat is you can create individual identities.
Oh.
So I have a LAS address, I have a TechSnap. So I've posted the last one in the show notes. If people want to send feedback via BitMessage, we'll just play for this with a little bit.
Well, and I like the layout. I like the fact that it has a nice tabbed system so
Yep.
you can navigate easily.
Yep. Yep, and you've got, see here, I can manage subscriptions where I've subscribed to the new BitMessage release thread. And people could subscribe. We could have like a newsletter address. I've added people to my address book, and what's great is people are just a little more open because they know they're kind of communicating over a medium that people don't even really have.
Absolutely, it's like email, but even safer. I mean,
is,
that's really what it is.
It's email with safety.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it before on the show, but I wanted to put the spotlight on it because I just want to help this project get more testing because I think the idea and the goal is definitely something worth helping grow and encourage.
Well, I think it's sound, and I think it's important. I think it's really important that we see this grow because I think it's something worth adopting.
Yeah, so if you want to send us a BitMessage feedback, check the show notes for our BitMessage address, and I'll check it for next week's episode. Yeah, I know. What's neat, though, is like if it actually took off, you and I could have a shared address, and when people sent something to that address, it could go to the both of us.
Oh, that would be cool.
Right? It's kind of like a distribution group, but it can be, it's completely anonymous, and it's a system where you can have people just subscribe to this address. So you can add and remove people really easily.
Oh, it's like a mailing list on steroids.
Right, and with Google Apps, like once I go beyond 5 accounts, then I kind of go into this other pay category where I have to pay for more money. So it's like, so now I'm like in this $100 a year plan or whatever.
Well, and it can get really unwieldy and expensive really fast going that other route. So these guys really
with BitMessage, you can just generate as many addresses on the fly as you want, and
that's
it's
cool.
It even takes away the whole need to like have your own self-hosted mail server, right? Because you're just participating in this P2P network,
right?
And so you connect to the network. Your address comes online, your node comes online, and you receive the messages to you. And you
removes all the unnecessary cogs that you really shouldn't have to be dealing with in the first place.
Right. It completely streamlines the process and anonymizes it to the best of the ability. Now, of course, all of this is being said because these are early days, right? This is stuff that
would you say pre-alpha or alpha? Where would you label it?
I think they consider it alpha. I don't know what they say here on their. I don't know if they actually disclaim.
We'll call it alpha. Yeah.
I mean, it's 0.3.4. It's moving very fast. I've been using it for about a month now, and I've probably corresponded with 40 or 50 people on there.
Okay, so it's a very healthy alpha. Maybe even easing into beta a little bit.
It's interesting. I hear more from people outside the U.S. who are a little more concerned about what's going on in regards to the U.S. and monitoring them. Yeah. And so they don't want to email into the show saying, hey, because then that gets monitored. Because automatically gets monitored. They're outside the U.S. So they're using BitMessage to communicate with me. So I'm seeing people outside the U.S. use it a lot more than people in the U.S.
That makes sense.
But I think in the U.S. it'll pick up too.
I hope so.
So that's BitMessage, and we'll have that linked. There's PPAs out there for Ubuntu, and it is in the Arch user repositories. I'm not sure about the other distros, but it's a matter of is really just checking it out from the GitHub repo and then running the Python app. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's not hard to get going at all. All right, Matt, let's do the news.
Hey, it's the news, and this episode is brought to you by
Ting.com, Matt. Ting is mobile that makes sense. They're an MVNO of the nationwide Sprint network. So if you've got good Sprint service in your area, you're going to get fantastic Ting service. And I've been a Ting customer for months and months now, both my wife, myself, and my mom.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been really awesome. Let me tell you, there's a few different reasons why I like Ting. As time has gone on, I've sort of more and more things have clicked about Ting with me. Number one that drew me, the first thing that drew me was no overages or penalties. But specifically because my usage varies depending on what I'm doing, I also like that they'll also credit me on unused services. So if I use less than I thought I would, they'll just drop me down to the level and then hit the difference on my account.
Oh, that's really decent of them.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then when I brought my wife on, we had the exact opposite, where all of a sudden we used a lot more minutes because she talks a lot more than I do. Surprise. And when she came on, it was no big deal at all. You don't have to worry about overage penalties or anything like that, because if you use more than you thought you would, you just pay for what you need. And with no add-on charges, we didn't have to worry about having to pay extra money for tethering or hotspot when she wanted to turn that on her phone, so that way the kid's iPad would work. I know.
Allows her to use the phone in a way that best meets her needs.
And no mysterious items showed up on our bill after she became a Ting subscriber.
Sweet.
And with the unlimited devices on the plan, you can just have as many devices as we want, which is for us right now is 3 devices. Each device just shares the pooled minutes and messages and megabytes. It's not some special plan. It's just whatever I had, they share it. And what's awesome about Ting, too, is they're sort of changing up the way the customer relationship works in a mobile provider. Like, you'll see some mobile providers, the kind of the fringe mobile provider out there right now who's trying to make some dramatic changes to kind of move themselves closer to where Ting's at, but they're not even in it all the way.
Yeah, they're kind of orbiting, but they keep kind of losing focus.
The Ting's built from the ground up to accommodate this kind of thing. You buy a phone unlocked from Ting, you own it. The services and contract is on your terms. There is no contract.
I love that.
There is no contract.
Well, it's truly a contract with yourself because you're in the driver's seat. You're in control. It's your experience.
Take a look at, for the example, so one of the reasons my wife and I saved is moved over to Ting is we're saving about $130 a month.
Holy cow.
From our previous plan. If you
Huge.
go over to last.ting.com, then click on the savings calculator at the top of their website, scroll down there and put your bill information in there. It only takes just a couple of minutes. And what's awesome is I say that about everything on the Ting website. If you're adding a new phone, if you're changing service plan, if you're doing the billing calculator, if you're signing up for a service, it's never going to take you more than 10 or 15 minutes. Their website is really well designed, very easy. There's not a lot of clutter. They're not trying to get you to click on something you didn't expect. And if you do get stuck, they have no hold customer support. You just call them at 1-855-TING-FTW anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern, or go to help.ting.com and you can create a ticket over there, and they have some awesome customer support forms as well. Also, if you've got an Android device already, you could probably sell it. They'll hook you up with a service where you can sell your old device, which is really
sweet.
handy.
That's awesome.
Make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Or when you go to last.ting.com, if you've already got a Sprint-compatible device, check out their Bring Your Own Device plan, and then you'll just save $25 on your service.
These guys are bending over backwards
Yeah.
to make sure that you're happy with your service.
We really appreciate Ting.
awesome.
So check out last.ting.com, and thank you to Ting for sponsoring the Linux Action Show.
Yes.
All right, I got some good news before we get on our soapbox, Matt.
All right, soapbox time.
A couple of big games hit Linux, went from beta to final in Steam this week. Number one,
Sweet.
Half-Life 2.
Yes.
Now, Half-Life 2 is sort of one of the iconic first-person shooters.
Yep.
Tons of great stuff in there. You take the role of a protagonist, and you go in there and you aim to rid the Earth of an alien race.
It's about time.
That's right.
about time.
So that's in Steam now, but the one that I'm very, very personally excited about is Portal.
Yep.
Portal just left beta, and
So cool.
One of my all-time absolute favorite games. I absolutely love this game from top to bottom. One of the few recent games that I've actually completed.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Right on. Congratulations on that.
And if you've already got Steam installed, we have an install link in the show notes. You just click that, and they'll start the process. Matt, think of Portal as like a first-person puzzle game. They call it right here as a hybrid FPS style with a new genre.
So it's a first-person shooter for thinkers.
It's a brain teaser.
It's a brain teaser. Okay.
I would like to suggest. I know you don't really.
I'd be willing to try it.
You should.
I should.
If you got a rig that'll run
Yeah,
it.
I think so.
It is honestly, Matt. It is. First of all, it's pretty non-violent, so you don't really. It's not like it doesn't raise your blood pressure. It just makes you think. And when you figure out the puzzles by opening different doorways with these portals,
Right.
it is the most rewarding sensation that you figured it out, and it makes it worth it every time because you feel so good that I got that, and it's
Right.
one of those where my wife and my son have just sat down and watched me play. Because it's one of those things where it's very entertaining for them too, because they're looking at it and trying to figure it out.
Oh, right. So it
and
becomes a group activity.
it totally is.
That's cool.
And so
I might do that. Yeah, I have a rig over it.
I originally got it for the 360.
Right.
I know, but I got the orange box years ago. Now with the Xbox One and Connect NSA edition, I'm not even I don't even have my 360 hooked up anymore.
The track everything you do edition.
Yes, but now that it's available for the PC, it was meant for a mouse and keyboard anyways, and having it available on Linux really feels like a milestone to me personally. So I've got a link in the show notes. If you got Steam installed and it's registered as a URL handling agent, you can just click it, and it will load. Put your flame retardant pants on, because we're about to get a little hostile up in here.
All right.
So it started this week that Canonical announced that Mir is going to ship in Ubuntu 13.10, and if you're using open source drivers, it'll actually even be turned on by default.
Whoa.
And they'll be using Xmir to run Unity 7.
Okay.
And then if you have proprietary GPU drivers, they'll fall back to a Xorg setup, I believe, or it's Xmir based. I'm not sure.
Harsh. Okay.
Here's what I want to talk about, because this is an interesting. It's bold. It's bold.
It's bold.
Do you
but
now? You can't really fault them for wanting to ship Mir in 13.10. I don't know. Unless do you take any particular issue with that?
let's put it this way. I'm torn. The monkey suit side of me says, "Thank God" at the start. We're halfway there, and now we just got to get it on another distro. The sane side of me that actually cares about my user experience is thinking, I read there was a performance hit somewhere along the line.
Yeah, so that's what I want to talk about. So let's now see. I think, but just on that point, I mean, I kind of see the point where it seems like they've got to ship it. They got to ship or get off the pot, so
That's
that
true.
way they have time to get it nailed down by LTS.
And I rationalize that importance. Sure, absolutely.
It's already getting hot in here. It is already
It's a
getting
little
hot in
warm.
the studio.
It is
today.
getting warm.
Either that, or I'm already getting upset. I'm not sure, Matt. So here's the thing. I want to talk about this performance stuff because I don't feel like this is getting a fair shake. So over on Phronix, Michael posted a couple of write-ups benchmarking the 3D performance and 2D performance of applications using Xmir And Xmere, if you're not familiar, is sort of this compatibility layer that allows X11 applications to run on top of Mir. So
Sounds
you got to
hacky.
figure there's a little bit of abstraction there, okay?
Yeah.
Now we're all kind of the dialogue. And by the way, I believe Canonical developers asked Michael at Phoronix to do these benchmarks because they have not yet begun the optimization phase of their development cycle, and they want to run these benchmarks again when they're done. So everybody needs to keep that in mind when you're looking at these benchmarks. These are all the debug stuff is turned on. These are pre-optimizations.
Sure. Okay. I can swallow that.
The community, however, has really jumped on the well, look, they decided to go off in their own direction and the performance is worse. Can we I want to propose to everybody that we back up the conversation. Can we go back to the point where we actually have a working Mir system with X11 applications running on top of it that are actually benchmarkable? Because to me, that actually seems like one hell of an accomplishment, since we were just talking about them and doing this in March. We have gone from, hey, we're going to do this, to, hey, we've got applications running on top of this completely rebuilt display server.
True.
To me, it seems like a pretty
well,
damn big accomplishment.
That is, with a disclaimer in that my big concern is this. That's all fine and dandy. Where you've pissed me off is where I have a working Ubuntu installation where say, hey, by the way, we're going to release this into the main line with our next, No, you're not. You're going to keep that under the you're going to keep that in some little beta thing you play with. I don't want that on my user experience.
No,
I'm just saying.
I hear what you're saying there, but
that's fair, but I don't want it.
And you don't want to stick on an LTS because it's too out of date. Yeah, well, this is what Carl at System76 has been saying, is that the LTSs are too old within a year.
They are.
Yeah, and they are too old. I mean, I'm not running 1204.
No one is.
I have one rig that runs 1204 because all it does is run Skype.
That makes sense.
And it is fine for that. But for desktop users, I want new I want everything. I want new everything, right? That's why I'm on Arch. And I just feel like I've read every year. Okay, so the show hit 7 years a couple of weeks ago,
Yes,
right?
it did.
And I realized one of the things that really upsets me the most over that 7 years is how much crap drama this community can stir up over absolutely nothing that turns out to be not a big deal, that we end up finding some sort of middle ground on in the long run anyways. And, when you read the comments on these latest round of benchmarks, people are burning Canonical at the stake. And I just don't see it. Everybody thinks they should have used Wayland. Who cares? Yeah,
that I agree with. That I don't care what they use. My only gripe, and as I said before, is I think that's a very valid point. But and I think it's also a very valid point. But the big issue I have is that don't release it before it's ready. I don't give a rat's patootie what your release schedule is.
Well, I mean, I could use the Fedora argument here is they ship something that's not quite ready. That way it gets ready by the time they need to do their long-term support. I mean,
and if you're going to do that, quit kidding newbies into thinking that it's this great out-of-the-box experience. No, it's not. You're a beta tester.
It's a shame that Ubuntu has been targeted for gaming, which is fundamentally dependent on high performance, and they're not really positioned to accommodate it. Not with Compiz and Unity, and now definitely not with Xmere. I mean, they are fundamentally undermining something that is currently exploding on their platform. We just talked about Half-Life 2 and Portal. Some of the biggest games in the last 10 years that have come out for the desktop are now available on Linux. Yes, old games, but they are, benchmark games that are now available on the platform that are specifically targeted for Ubuntu Linux. You got there, Canonical, and now you are undermining the infrastructure. And I think there is a conversation to be had there. But I believe the appropriate response is, let's sit back, let's see where they take this. Because I got no skin in this game. I'm an Arch user, right?
Yeah, this is true. I don't care either.
Whatever happens, happens. Arch is going to go the direction of Wayland. All the other distributions, Kubuntu, potentially a lot of the other derivatives are going to go Wayland eventually, or they're going to stick with Xorg for as long as absolutely possible.
Tons of distribution options out there to try.
If Canonical is successful, what they will accomplish is, and this is I think what a lot of people have, is they will slightly have an Androidified version of Linux, right? It's going to be this. Yeah, it's going to use Upstart. It's going to use Mir. It's going to use their own login manager. It's going to use their own desktop that's combined with their with their display server. Like they're integrated together. But at the same time, it's also going to be a Linux system. It's going to have our favorite Linux commands. It's going to have all of the GNU utilities. It will be more Linux than Android. It will get more people using GPL software. It will get more people using Linux. And you got to admit that so far the current organic, slow, open source approach hasn't broken through. It took Android to do it. And now maybe it's going to take Canonical to do it slightly differently to break through. And if they fail, then we just all move on. I mean, I think
that's a good way of putting it.
I think everybody's freaking out, like if Canonical fails here, that Linux is doomed. But that's ridiculous.
It's going back to the old financial arguments. They're not too big to fail. I mean,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have seen over the years there has been key moments in Canonical's history. I think specifically when they shipped 11.04, which introduced Unity, you saw thousands of users switch to the Mac platform.
That's right.
At that time. Unfortunately, we saw a huge brain drain to the Mac. When other major releases come out where they've done something they didn't like the Amazon integrated search, you saw another mass exodus. Mm-hmm. So we have demonstrable proof that when Canonical makes a bad decision, slices of the user base will leave, and eventually they'll shuffle out into the general Linux ecosystem, and they will strengthen the rest of the distribution.
That's true. The market self-corrects.
Yeah, it's all of this hatred towards Canonical and dooming them. Let them experiment. Let them see what happens.
Sure.
This is why we open source the software to begin with, is to encourage other people to experiment and try new things based on other people's innovations. That is the principle of open source. Mm-hmm. And to attack a company for doing that is just a huge waste of everybody's time and energy. And when all of these blogs over the last 7 years of this show have said one of the worst things about the Linux community, one of the biggest threats to the Linux community is the community itself, well, it's obvious when you look at it from this angle. We chew on ourselves instead of chewing on the things that we need to accomplish. It's ridiculous, and it's a waste of time and energy. Focus on making something, not tearing something down. And I know I've made that rant before, but every time a story about Mir comes out, and if it's not just in the slight, if it's got just another example. No, this is how it happens, and I'm not trying to dump on Michael over at Phoronix, but this headline right here, this headline reads, X Wayland 2D performance appears better than Xmir, right? That sounds like a bad, damning thing for Xmir.
It's a link bait.
But then when you read the freaking article, you find out they couldn't even do OpenGL benchmarks on X Wayland. The applications wouldn't even run where they did them on Mir. But the headline doesn't say that. The headline says that X Wayland is better than Mir. They couldn't even do some of the benchmarks on X Wayland. It's not a fair comparison. Everybody needs to calm the hell down and focus on making things work. I say everybody wins when both these projects. I mean, look at the ass kick that Wayland has gotten from Mir. This has been one of the best things that happened to the display server space in Linux. Is one of the best things was the announcement of Mir, because Wayland has never gotten more attention than it has now, and we're actually going to get to use it. We've been covering Wayland for 3+ years on this show, and we still haven't used it. We're probably going to be using it by the end of the year. That is an accomplishment, and whatever Canonical does, we've got that. And I think that's something I think we should focus on the positives of this. Let them experiment, let them fail or let them win. We're better off either way.
Well, I think it definitely presents an interesting experience in that you have the Coke and Pepsi argument, basically, to where they are so focused on nipping at each other's heels, they make each other better. If one drops off or one fails completely, that's fine because it did drive up the other one. So I think, long story short, with the Wayland Mir experience, I think that's certainly valid. Personally, I don't care if my display server is running on Cheetos.
You just want it to run good.
I just want it to run good. Yeah. I mean, I'm a really basic kind of fella. Just make it not suck.
I agree. I mean, if I could have waved a magic wand, Canonical would be using Wayland. Everybody focusing on making one amazing display server, but that is not the reality.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that, Mike. Like I said, the only gripe I had with Ubuntu and Canonical and all this stuff is that you guys do what you need to do. But if I have Ubuntu running on my mom's desktop or a friend's desktop, and you go and make that suck harder from one release to another after encouraging new users to update their system, screw you. Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I agree. I really, I mean, that's why I think both of you and I are on Arch, is because we looked at what the mountain of work that they need to accomplish to make that a good experience.
Sure.
And I think you and I both made the internal decision they're not going to accomplish it.
No.
However, the fact that we are benchmarking Mir now and it's actually working kind of makes me rethink that a little bit. Like, they're further along than I expected.
I mean, like I said, from my monkey suit perspective, I want to see that succeed for them. I believe in the long term they're going to do great things. And I think that's awesome. And I think it's great that both groups are testing and doing what they need to do. But as a granular rule, as a really important rule, you need to make sure that keep it simple. When you're targeting newbies, have that conversation with them. Be clear with them. Let them know, hey, by the way, we're kind of testing out some new stuff right now. And don't do it in some mailing list. Do it in a way that newbies are going to understand it, so you don't have a forum filled with people going, why does my stuff suck now? Because that's what's going to happen. It's such avoidable nonsense.
They have the long-term support out there, but they don't really say... Yeah. They almost need to say, like, starting with 13.10, Ubuntu is going into this heavy develop mode.
Yeah,
and
that's
if you're
all
a
they
new,
do.
they need almost have like a warning on their site that says if you're a new user. Now, would you have this same feeling if, say, in 2-3 months, because they've got till October, so say in 4 months.
I don't care if it takes them 3 days.
Say-
It's long.
Well, no, I'm saying say another couple of weeks or another couple of months, they come out and they say, okay, now the performance is near on par. All applications work seamlessly. There's really no.
That would be a great conversation.
You're going to lose about 5 to 10 frame rates on this first release, and we think we can maybe trim that a little bit more in the next release.
I would like that.
I mean, that I think is what they're shooting for. And if they hit that, then I think they don't have to have that conversation because they've achieved almost a transparency level of compatibility where people won't even know they're running through Xmirror or Mirror.
But like I said, I don't care. Even if it's a 3-day period, when you're in first impressions matter, especially people that are maybe jumping onto Ubuntu for the first time.
I mean, they might. I think
put it up on a site.
I think their goal is to ship it in 13.10 so that you don't even know. So new users aren't even aware.
Then that's cool. If they can do that, if they can make 13.10 not suck out of the box, I'm really not.
What I'm worried about
we'll
is
see.
like, what about the situations where I'm running Ubuntu and then I decide I want to switch to Kubuntu? Will it install Xorg for me, or will it try to run Kubuntu on Mir, and that's going to completely fail?
Really funky.
Or what happens if I do a driver update and my driver fails and I need to fall back to the open source driver for a couple of hours and then switch back to the proprietary driver? What's that experience going to be like? Those are the kinds of things I'm worried about. How's that going to play out?
Well, you know what? That sound? Oh yeah, it's the sound of people switching to Mint. Just saying, because I think that people are getting fed up with the.
Maybe.
Personally, I'm not a chemistry set. I'm just saying, I don't want to be your tester.
We are going to test it though. That's the thing.
Oh, I mean, it's that's what we do. But I mean, like if I'm Joe user,
you don't. Yeah, you don't.
Right. No, I don't mind. I test all kinds of stuff. But I'm just saying, for my own family, I don't want them to be test dummies. I don't.
I agree.
Just saying.
All right. Well, just a follow up before we get out of here. The Free Software Foundation has a new high priority project. Now, these don't always mean a ton. They just mean
this is going to be better PR. Or
the free software. No, it's like they're saying, hey, if you want to get into some free software, we have this list of projects that we think are really important to the free software ecosystem, and we'd like to get you involved. They're kind of like saying, all right, if you're looking for somewhere to go, take a look at this list.
Okay.
And they've added BitTorrent Sync, which is the peer-to-peer two-way file synchronization utility with fine-grained access controls, the one we covered a few weeks ago. They've added that to their high-priority list.
Nice.
I've been using. I just wanted to follow up on that. I've been using BitTorrent Sync now to work with a client of mine where I do some recording for them, and then I send them. We're talking like 40 gigabyte files.
How does it compare to like AeroFS? I know that we.
So the nice
that was pretty
thing,
good too. I mean, there's some advantages.
I was actually talking with Crash Benedict in the chat room this morning about it because he he's in a position where it's not really a fair comparison because he's only got an 80 kilobyte upstream. Oh, so he likes the fact that he can upload at 80 kilobits to Dropbox, and then they can download from Dropbox as fast as Akamai can give it to them.
Okay.
So whereas BitTorrent Sync is directly from my machine to their machine.
So it's a whole nother animal.
Which is good for me because I've got 35 megabits up. So I can just send them way faster than their pipe can take it, and there's no intermediary, so they don't have to wait for me to complete the upload. I just send directly to them, right? Whereas with Dropbox, I'd have to upload it, and they'd wait for that, and then once it was finished, then they would download it. And the other thing that BitTorrent Sync can do is the more people you're sharing with, the more people help in that spreading of the file. So that helps as well, which is something Dropbox doesn't really do at all. And then the other nice thing about BitTorrent Sync, of course, is that it's peer-to-peer. The underlying infrastructure, the protocol, all of that is open. However, the client itself is not, the top-end client. Sort of like it's uTorrent. uTorrent uses BitTorrent, but uTorrent itself is closed source. But then there's Transmission and KTorrent and all these. Yeah, there's tons of different BitTorrent clients. There could be tons of different BitTorrent Sync clients, including I know that some people in the GNOME mailing list have even postulated about integrating it in with Nautilus, which would be really cool.
That would be very cool. I'd like that.
So I love BitTorrent Sync. It's been a perfect solution for me. And if you combined it with like a VPS in the cloud that you had good control over, or something like that, you could even kind of replicate sort of that Dropbox effect where it syncs up to the cloud, but you would have full control over it.
Business in that, I think.
So a little tip of the hat for putting that on their priority list. I don't know if we'll see any more action around it. I hope so.
Maybe that could be just the boost they need.
I have some ideas for distributing Jupiter Broadcasting content in the future. Over BitTorrent Sync. Some new stuff over BitTorrent Sync.
That would be a really great way to do it.
Yeah. All right, Matt.
Cool.
Well, that's all the news for this week. As this show goes on the air, we are mere hours away from Google bringing Google Reader to an end. And for some of you, that's no big deal at all.
True.
And maybe I can help change your mind on that a little bit, because you can actually be quite productive if you have a good RSS reader. And for some of you, that's a really big deal. And
It's a big piece of their lives.
yeah,
right?
for me, I follow a lot of different news feeds for the various shows, and I've integrated a lot of that reader functionality into my workflow. I need something where I can kind of read it on the go using my mobile device.
Right.
And the key for me is if I read it here, I want it marked red on my
Oh,
desktop.
I hate that. When you got multiple readers and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So before we talk about that, I want to say thank you to our segment sponsor, and that is System76.
Woo!
Creators of machines born to run Linux and this new Ultra Pro laptop.
yeah.
They're super
Yes.
thin, nice 1080p IPS display for 14.1-inch screen. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that design.
I've already told him if I could get a hold of one of these, just even for a week,
Yeah.
just to love it.
Or
to
forever.
Hold it. Oh,
Or
and forever.
forever.
And forever would be cool.
Or
I'm
forever's
okay.
fine.
Yeah, I'm good forever. I love that.
It's got the new Haswell processor, and it's got the new HD 5200 Intel video chip, which is supposed to be pretty great.
I want one.
I really like it. But System 76 has a bunch of awesome systems,
they
including my
do.
personal favorite, the Bonobo Extreme.
Serious laptop for serious individuals.
These are boxes that are meant to run Linux. You're not going to run into issues down the road because you decided to use something that isn't technically supported. No. When you see a product from System 76, you know that sometimes years of conceptualizing went into designing that product. These guys think about it from end to end. They really create complete products and complete solutions based around Linux. It's not a niche of their business. It is their business.
That's right.
Go to system76.com, check them out, and tell them the Linux Action Show sent you. And one of the things we've learned is when you use a free service like Google Reader and it's not the company's core focus, you almost have to expect at some point they're just going to arbitrarily end it.
Yeah,
And
it happens.
I am so sick of this. I am so sick of being beholden to some service provider determining that their product that you've been using for years no longer synergizes with their efforts.
Kind of like Ubuntu and X.
Xorg? Yeah,
Xorg.
exactly. Exactly.
Just saying.
So I'm going to talk about two solutions you can host yourself that are pretty simple to get going.
Ooh.
If you're comfortable with the command line a little bit. Then we're going to talk about a couple of solutions that you can self-host or you can just use hosted if you like. All right?
I like that idea.
The first one, you might have heard me tease it last week, that I want to talk about is TT-RSS. Mentioned it during the Android app pick. TT-RSS is an open source web-based news feed, reader, and aggregator designed to allow you to read news on the location while also feeding desktop applications where available. And it has API support so you can tie in mobile apps. It's got OPML importing so you can import your Google Reader feed. So you can just take it right from Google
Like
Takeout
that.
into TT-RSS and just pick up right where you left off. It also has plugin support, so you can do like sharing plugins. You can send stories to Instapaper, send them to Pinboard, share them on Twitter,
That's so
send them to
cool.
Evernote. By the way, the API is JSON based, which is great for application
really
development.
cool.
Has support for podcasts,
Oh,
which is nice.
that gets interesting.
Obviously, it's also internationalized, and it's an active development.
Little enclosure action.
When I first started with TT-RSS, or let's just call it TT-RSS.
Yeah, TTR.
I thought the perfect solution would be installing Raspbian on a Raspberry Pi
You'd think.
and then loading TT-RSS on the Raspberry Pi. Then you've just got this little dedicated machine in your house that is like an RSS reader. You just connect to it when you want to read your latest feeds, and it's always up to date because it's always running.
And you could even take it to the office.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Totally doable if you have around like say like 100, 150 feeds, something like that. If you got more than that, you start to run into resource limitations on the Pi. I've trimmed mine down. I think I have about 300 feeds or so.
So did it start lagging out on you? Or?
Oh, big time.
Oh,
big time.
yeah, that's
and the
annoying.
problem was when it was updating the feeds, the web UI it was taking like 2 minutes for the web UI to
Oh,
load.
jeez.
So as I added more, it just got slower and slower. So I just ended up putting it on my home server. But here it is. This is my TT-RSS installation on my home server.
Right.
I'm logged in as my admin account right now. You can see on the left-hand side, very traditional Google Reader start.
Wow.
My fresh articles. I can go here. I can see all of the latest articles. It has inline picture viewing.
Okay.
It actually does.
It looks really good.
Loads super fast. I can see the source here on the
wow,
right-hand side, right? So even though they're all in one combined feed right now because of the view I have, I get the source here. I can mark them for archiving. I can assign a weight to the different posts. So I can say this is a 5 out of 10. And so then later when I'm filtering based on different level of stories, I have that to pull from.
That's really cool.
Yep, and of course you've got all your basic sharing features, and I have all my categories here on the side. I've got my different, feed
Nice and
types.
collapsible, very Ajaxy. The one thing I'm thinking is like, what if I wanted to host this, say, on a GoDaddy?
Totally.
Right?
You really just need PHP and MySQL. and then you could put it up on a
There it is.
VPS or something like that. Yeah,
That would
totally.
be cool.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have a box handy.
And it has lots of really good options.
That's cool.
We go in here, and again, this is all just running off my local server, so there's nobody really tracking what feeds I subscribe to or anything like that.
Sure, right.
You can apply filters to different stuff. You can apply labels to your different feeds. You can assign multiple users. The users can share things amongst each other. They have their own independent feeds, so each person in their house can have their own login. They can follow their own feeds. So if you have some roommates or a significant other that wants to look at their RSS feeds, you get logging. It's very, very, very analogous to what you get with Google Reader, but with all the knobs and all of the buttons exposed.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And if you put it on a decent box, the performance is fantastic. And the quick sync to the mobile device is top notch.
Well, especially localized like that, because I was watching you use it, and it was just instantaneous.
Yeah.
Just Johnny on the spot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
cool.
it really is fast. And there's lots of different management capabilities. You can tag articles, so I can tag everything for an episode of Last. I can tag stuff for Unfiltered, and then I can go back here and I can look at all the tags. I can pull out just the ones, and then I can forward them on to different services.
Oh, wow.
Obviously you can go in here, you can mark entire feeds red, all that kind of stuff. All the kind of functionality you would expect. Tiny RSS is my solution. This is the one I'm switching to.
I like it.
Took me 10 minutes. I've got links in the show notes for PPAs and how to install it from the Arch user repository.
Oh, cool. Okay.
There's also some VMs out there, and there's a lot of different ways. Obviously, OwnCloud's another way to do this yourself.
Right.
But
apparently not the Pi. It's not so much.
not on the Pi if you have a lot of feeds. Tiny RSS, though, is really great if you want to run your own Google Reader. It is like a Google Reader replacement that you'll install on your own box, and you don't need to have it on a server. You can install it all locally, and then you're even more secure because you can, by default, it only accepts local host connections.
Right.
So then only you can connect to it from your local host address, and it just sits there on your machine, and it updates in the background. On Arch and some of the other distros, you need to set up a cron job so it goes out and pulls the feeds.
Oh, sure.
The Debian packages, when they're in daemon mode, it puts them in a loop so that it automatically is just always checking it with the Debian installation. So it's a little easier
kinda
there.
cool.
Yeah. One more that's self-hosted, a little clean, a little bit different approach. I guess you call this one Self-OS?
Self-OS?
I mean, I get the FOSS part.
Self-OS?
I just don't get the SEL part. This
Yeah.
is a new multi-purpose RSS reader. It's a web-based. It's an aggregator. It's open source. It's up on GitHub. It's easily expandable with a plug-in system, sort of like Tiny is.
Okay.
Its mobile support right now, as far as I know, is just via
Probably just mobile.
a web mobile.
Right.
Yeah. You just go to it on your mobile device. I wish it's probably fine for a lot of people.
That's all they really want. I mean, just make a bookmark. You're good.
It also has OPML imports, so you can you
okay.
can go
That's
straight from your
important.
Google Reader right into this.
That
so you
matters.
just move right there using Google Takeout. It looks a lot better than Tiny. It's very nice looking, right?
I think it's really actually quite attractive. But it definitely looks different. I wouldn't say it looks better.
It's more
just looks-
iPad-y
It has
almost.
more eye candy. It looks like you got some color coding options and stuff.
It reminds
going
me
on.
of like an app for the iPad.
It does, right? Yeah, because that's probably why I'm hesitant to say. I wouldn't say it looks better. I'd say it looks different, and it has its own functionality.
So I have it installed here on my server, and I imported all my feeds. Because you go in here and you can say import right here from
Right.
Google Reader. You upload it, the XML file.
that's
Super
pretty cool.
easy, right?
Yeah.
However, after I did that, none of my feeds have updated. And I don't know if I'm missing some command I'm supposed to run.
I wouldn't think so.
But the UI, I like the UI a lot. It brought over all of my tags from my Google
Yeah.
Reader export, so I saved all of my tags and all my categories, just like I did in Tiny.
there must be some refresh or something somewhere.
yeah,
Some
I don't see it,
functionality. No, I don't either.
But the UI is really nice. And if I'm probably just missing something simple.
Yeah.
And if for me, I didn't spend too much time because Tiny is where I'm putting my effort because I like the mobile
Right.
interface. But
It looks good. Yeah,
It does.
but I'm more with the TT-R approach, I think.
yeah. Now I want to talk about two that you can use yourself. One you could actually go check out and load on your own box if you wanted to. If you've
Oh, okay.
actually, I don't know if that's entirely true. It might require Google App Engine, but you can load it on your own Google App Engine account. And
Okay.
that's GoRead. This was recommended to me a lot on Twitter. I tweeted out and asked people what they've been using. GoRead.io. You log into it with your Google account, or I think it accepts other services too. And it says, hey, if you log in with your Google account, this is what I did. You log in with your Google account and says, hey, I see you used a Google account. Would you like me to go connect to Reader and just pull everything in?
Oh, man.
You
no
say
kidding.
yes. It pulls it all into GoRead, and it's very nice UI, very fast. And this is using Google App Engine.
And so its setup is really, there is none. I mean, it sounds like it's
Right.
pretty much just,
You
it's
just-
like the easiest across the board.
It is so easy. There's really zero setup, and if you wanted to, you could check it out, install it in your own app instance.
That's kind of cool.
I don't really know what the benefit of that is, but it's
So this might be for people that are like, I don't want to configure, tweak, or mess with preferences.
say
I just want it to run.
If you want feeds, if you
Yeah.
want to read your RSS feeds, but it's not like a core part of your daily routine. Or
Right.
like when I was a sysadmin, I would use RSS feeds. I would subscribe to all of the vendors' vulnerability lists. I would subscribe to all of the security mailing posts. They were all exposed via RSS, and I would actually check them as part of my morning security job.
Makes sense.
Is I would go through those. So I actually needed it for my job, and now I need it for this job. So for me, I kind of need a more complete solution. If I was just casually reading a handful of blogs, subscribing to a few podcasts, I'd probably use GoRead.io.
that makes sense. That's a good way to put it.
Now, you got to ask yourself. There's a few other ones out there. Feedly, extremely
Feedly's
popular.
good.
Feedly seems to be like the de facto standard.
Does.
And I wonder though.
Well, they've been hitting people in the inbox here recently. They said, "Hey, we noticed you had a,
Yeah.
you got a." It's like that's really
And Feedly's great. Also, Feedly is already way ahead of the game on their mobile side.
oh yeah, they are.
You know, so and you can log in with your Google account into Feedly.
What they did right is they made the transition as painfully seamless as possible. They even went so far as to like troll you to get into
Yeah.
Feedly, which
Yeah.
is really smart.
And they
you
do
know?
a few things, like they do this weekend edition, which is kind of nice. I mean, there's things about Feedly that I really like. There's a couple things I don't like. There's things about it I really like. The thing is, that I'm kind of entering a mindset where if I can keep it on my LAN and it never needs to go over the public internet,
Right.
regardless of what it is, anything I can do, just keep it on my LAN. That's better. That's better from having connection troubles. That's better for privacy.
Yes,
That's better
exactly.
for performance. It's just better. And that's where Feedly isn't. That's the problem Feedly doesn't solve for me.
That you're having to go over the internet for it.
Yeah.
It's got some good stuff, but probably not for you.
I also want to put NewsBlur in that category. NewsBlur looks really, really interesting. It looks like they've got some super great mobile apps. Again, they support Google Reader importing. And the other thing that I like is it's got real-time feed reading. So if you're reading a feed, it'll use a little Ajax magic to
Nice.
repopulate the feed. And you can try it out. You can go over there and they'll kind of give you a demo.
Oh, dude, you can literally try it out. And it's like, bam, instant sidebar.
And look how nice this is.
that's
right?
really good.
It's NewsBlur at newsblur.com. I think is the slickest of all of them. It's got some magic
Yeah.
on the back end. They've taken the best of the Google Reader UI, but they've also improved upon it and given it more functionality without making it too cluttered.
man.
Right? And there's hidden like little UI.
I'm thinking I like this the best, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to have this on a LAN, but yeah.
Yeah. Again, if I'm a casual news reader, but maybe I'm interested enough that I want a very good RSS reader that's going to be around for a long time, but I'm not going to go through the trouble of setting it up myself.
Right. Now, another approach is maybe for like work use, you have your LAN RSS reader, and then for just I want to read stuff.
Yeah.
You can totally use one of these guys.
Right, and here's something that NewsBlur is doing that I kind of like. They have a pro pricing tier.
Okay.
And for $24 a year, you get unlimited everything. You get blah, 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 all this stuff. And you get real time, like it'll give you geek stats about.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. The reason why I like 24 is a little high for this, but
yeah.
I feel like one of the reasons a lot of these are going to fail is Google looked at this market and said, we're not making any money doing
No,
this.
there's no money being made there at all.
And so what all of these people are doing is they're picking up Google's sloppy seconds. And if Google couldn't make money doing it, then why are the people picking up their sloppy seconds going to make money?
Exactly.
But when you got sites like NewsBlur, who have a premium tiered model where there's an obvious way they're going to make money, now my relationship to my information and them is a little more clear to me. I know that they're making their money off of my subscription, not off selling my metadata.
Exactly,
Right?
right.
I prefer that. I also know that they have a viable business model where they have a reoccurring revenue source, so they're going to stick around a while, theoretically. So NewsBlur, for me, out of all of the ones that are hosted in the cloud, is probably the one I like the most. Feedly would be my second choice. But the one I'm going with because I want it on my LAN, and that's the number one requirement for me, is tiny
that
RSS.
is cool. Yeah, that is cool. No, definitely a good approach.
So there you go. These are all ways you can replace Google Reader. Some you control from top to bottom yourself. Some where you have a very clear customer provider relationship. I think that across the board, these are ways you can replace
You feel
Google
like
Reader.
it's an enforceable privacy policy that's actually going to stand the test of time.
You never know, right? You never know. But they have
You're a little more comfortable.
They have some other interesting things like you can have private groups in the pay account. So
That's kinda neat.
all of the hosts of Jupiter Broadcasting could have a private back channel where
that
we're
would be
sharing
so
stories and stuff,
cool.
right? So there are some perks to paying for it too. So it's not just to keep them around. It's not just about
you
that.
get some benefit for your free dollar.
Yeah. So there you go, Matt. That's a Linux Action Show's look at replacing Google Reader on Linux. It's time for Slash Etsy, Matt, and this week's segment is brought to you by our fine friends over at Untangle.com. Go to Untangle.com/lass if you would. That way they know we sent you. And right there, the other nice thing about that is right in the middle of the page, they've got a download for their ISO image. This is Untangle's full firewall system. You throw this on any box you want, and then just go kick the tires and see what Untangle is about. Then, when you're ready to upgrade, you can either get yourself an appliance, or you can just turn on the services in that ISO that you purchased and use our code LAST20. You'll save 20% on that service. Great thing about Untangle is if you go appliances or you go with your own rig, you get to control access to websites and apps, protect against viruses and spyware, so you can protect a Windows network using a Linux box. You can even block ads and spam.
Yep.
It has IDS on there. You can prioritize traffic with traffic shaping. And when you can just get started by downloading their easy-to-set-up ISO, you won't even believe how simple it is to get up and running. So go over to untangle.com/lass and download that ISO for sure. And if you decide to upgrade to one of their services to get some of their awesome service, like their superior content filtering, use the code LAST20 when you check out. You save 20% off a 1-year or greater Untangle subscription. And thanks to Untangle for sponsoring Slash Etsy.
Yes.
Very nice. Been
Very
using
nice.
those guys for years at clients. Really
Good
have.
stuff.
All right, Matt. So,
Hello.
last week, we asked folks to send in screenshots.
Yes.
And we would go through their setup. Now, for you audio listeners, don't fret. We have an Imager album that the handsome Q5 Sys in our chat room, who also loaned us that Raspberry Pi,
That
which I'm
was awesome.
still playing with, he put together an Imager album of all of these screenshots with everybody's descriptions that they provided and everything. We'll have it linked in the show notes. If you haven't checked this kind of thing out before, it's really fascinating to look at how folks have their desktop
It
set
is
up.
very cool because it really, I think it reflects personality, reflects creativity.
And we got so many submissions. I opened up, I don't know, in the video version, you can probably see how many tabs I opened. I opened up about as many tabs as I figured we could get through, and then some.
Yeah.
So we're going to chew through some of these, and then you can look at more in the show notes. Our first one right here is it's a GNOME Classic Ubuntu 13.04 setup with the Compiz plugin. He said he didn't really like Unity too much. And he's got these .desktop files to launch links or sites that he frequently visits, like G+.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he puts them there in the menu. Yeah. So he's got them right here in his...
Oh, that's very slick. I like that.
It's a nice setup. Very clean. And it just says... he didn't put his name in here. It just says last screenshot.
Okay.
But by Art. Oh, from Art.
From
Let's
Art.
see. There we go. All right. Our next one is Rickson. And he says, hi, Chris, or anybody who's reading this. I made a short video of my setup. Wow, he linked a Vimeo vid up. Wow, should we look at that real
Yeah,
quick?
let's check that out.
Oh, my gosh, Matt. This is cool. Oh, he's got X-Nomad. Oh, let's see what we get. See what we hear. I'll turn up the audio, see if we have anything.
Yeah.
This is Rickson, and this is my Xmonad setup. This is how it looks empty, obviously. And this is the top status bar, which is a shell script I found on GitHub, which I think looks nice. And it's on this guy's GitHub account. And then, I tweaked it a lot, though. I made it the colors a little bit more arch-ish.
He's got an Arch setup here. I want to know what this... I can't quite read what system app that is right there. That's with the bar graphs. That is slick looking.
Yeah, definitely let us know.
You gotta let it, maybe he says, or he sees, my theme is Blue Fear GTK. So another GTK desktop.
Okay.
He's using the Arch color. Oh, and he included a link to his wallpaper, which it looks really nice too. Let me go take a look at that right there. A little snaggy snag. I like that
Nice.
Arch paper though. Just save that right there. No, never mind. Just gonna borrow that. All right. Very nice, sir. And now, okay. Now here we go. Here's a GNOME setup on Ubuntu 13.04, and he's got some extensions. He includes a link to the icon pack, which is a great looking.
That's a great looking icon pack. I
really
like that.
Oh, look at that, Matt.
Sexy.
That is really slick looking.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Okay.
Put
Very
that on the
nice.
borrow list.
Very nice, George the Greek. I like that. And now here's a Star Trek one. This theme is a stock KDE Oxygen. There you go. With the United Federation of Planets wallpaper. The distro came from is Arch, but I also have the same thing on my Ubuntu 12.04 setup, which is multi-boot with Arch and Win7, all on the same system. Wow. He's spinning it all on a 320 gig hard drive too. That's nice. There's a lot going on there, though.
There's a lot
I'm
going
going to be
on there.
honest. There's a lot going on there.
That is now the little doohickeys on the right. I have those on my KDE. So.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, got a kitty.
Ooh sent in a picture of his cat. Here we go. This is Ooh's desktop. He said, I badly wrote a little bash script to run as a cron job, which pulls a random picture of the day from Wikipedia and sets it as my wallpaper. That's neat.
That's cool.
And there he's watching last week's
those.
episode of Lass.
Sweet.
And got the little Serious Sam 3 and Steam going. And it looks like he's
Right
remoted
on.
into a remote file server there. He's using the Forenza icon theme. And here's another shot of his desktop with
Very
Arch.
cool.
Yeah.
Liking it.
Very nice. Thank you, sir. Oh, next submission is a wide one. This is XFCE with gray hybrid and with a rotated wallpaper on the other screen. Now look how he's done that.
See, that's great. And this is where double your desktop, double your fun.
Look at all the stats. This is like a control center he's got on the second
he's
screen.
going Star Trek over there.
Oh my gosh, that'd then make me want to get another monitor so I could then have another
right?
monitor with that on there. That is slick. Well done. Tenades? How do you suppose you Tenades?
I think so.
Yeah. Toaster J sends in his XFCE with Xnomad also. So he's running XFCE and Xmonad on there.
Wow.
Looks like he's got a little Sublime text going. Very nice.
Very, very cool.
That's all on top of Ubuntu 12.04. Well, here we were saying 12.04 was too old.
Well,
but it looks like
apparently not.
he's got a pretty nice setup.
Good for him.
And a little Firefox action there, too, with LastPass. Good man.
Good man.
Spotted the LastPass. All right, here we go. Here's a nice, clean KDE 410.4 with the Obsidian Coast color scheme. Nice. And there he is on the last subreddit.
Very cool.
Yeah, I like that. With the Prism story at the top. Oh. Yeah. He's also using a dock-like panel at the bottom. He said, I made it just large enough to cover the window title bar, but not all of the contents.
Clementine user. Good.
Yep.
Good job.
Clementine in there, too. And I like that system status.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, here we go. Here's one that's got us in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Seen a Jupiter Broadcasting. Oh, my gosh. So... So this is something we've talked about on SciByte. They're sending up this. There was this Kickstarter to send up this probe, and you can do a selfie on it, and you can put your picture on there. So looks like he's gimped in a picture of Jupiter Broadcast.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's
so cool.
really cool. He says he's running GNOME 3.6.2. To be honest, rather generic. He's got generic Firefox File Manager.
Okay.
He's got Chrome on there. Blend. Oh, he's just saying different apps. GIMP. The background was my own for fun. That is really great.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Tannen. All right. Moving on, now we have a Fedora 18 XFCE user. That's cool.
That's extraordinarily awesome. Ooh,
that looks like something from the movies, right?
No kidding, right? Like when it's one of those like custom.
Yeah, this is a movie UI. It looks like he's running a Fedora 18 64-bit, nothing too fancy, dark theme to reduce eye strain. He says, yeah,
that's smart. That's something.
Everything else XFCE settings. Wow, very nice. Now here's a plain Jane, simple, clean, but kind of also classic Ubuntu 12.04 64-bit. He's got the Renix window style theme, but he's also got the traditional application GNOME 2 launcher along the top.
Synapse is going on there.
With a little Synapse launcher, yeah. That's nice. That's a good way to go. Stuff. It's nice, simple, classic.
Yes.
Ubuntu 12.04. Here you go. Here's a Unity desktop, 13.04. Is this our first Unity desktop?
I think this might be. Or there may have been one other, but this might be the first. Actually, I think it is.
Very nice, though. Very
Double
nice.
Desktop.
I like the understated background there with a little, I'm guessing that's a little conky act. Yep, it says conky right there.
Conkage.
Unity tweak tool, compass settings, management to get the wobblies back. He's got a nice theme called Numix, Numix. So guys might check that out because it does look really nice if you want to trick out your...
Really cool.
Look at that. I really like the window decorator.
I like the window decorator, and I'm really kind of digging that whole tone down the dark.
Yeah, I think
that might be good on the eyes.
The Unity, the dash bar here, whatever you call this, the launch bar, looks good in black.
It does, yeah, and it really flows.
Yeah, it really kind of fits together. Very nice. You got the theme and the wallpaper linked. Good man.
Like the conkage.
Yeah, and here's his dual monitor setup. Yeah, the conky is...
You either love it or hate it. I mean, really
look, he's got Play On or whatever that's called.
Oh yeah, for the wine.
Yeah, for wine.
Play on Linux.
Yeah, interesting. Play on Linux, right?
Good
stuff. Look at this desktop.
Ooh,
all right, here
pretty.
we go. This is an Ubuntu 12.04 box. It's a family desktop, so I try to keep it as stock as possible because I'm not going to upgrade it for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So the second is my GNOME 2 desktop. So he sent. Oh, I see. So that's nice, but. Man, that is really nice.
Ooh,
that's nice.
pretty.
I like that moon on there.
Yeah.
He said he said I'll modify KDE to act like Unity and GNOME 2 in order to show how much of a superior and configurable desktop environment they actually are.
Right on.
I can make them look like Unity if I wanted. He says. That's awesome. Thanks, Shane. That's great.
That's cool.
All right, Roy sends in his Mint box with a dock. He's running Mint Debian Edition with Cinnamon Desktop and Docky. Nice.
Oh, it is Docky. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good setup. That's a good combo right there. Actually, Cinnamon. Debian Edition.
Yeah, I'm kind of liking that.
That's a good way to go. The icon theme is Forenza Elementary, of course, and he's using the Cupertino L, the Arduino Cupertino L.
Cupertino
Looks a little Macish, hence the Cupertino.
Yeah, that's the Mac thing.
Yes. All right, Rob Tideman sends in his desktop. Looking a little traditional at first. He says it's Linux Mint 13 Mate Edition with their Mint Z theme, customized a little bit because he likes a little more blue.
Sure.
Hi there, ladies. Hello.
Hey.
And then, there we are. There's our media streaming in his application switcher. Very nice.
Little compositing action there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well done, sir. interesting to see how some people put icons on their desktop and some people are like no icons. Like here's a no icon, right?
Well, and then like here recently, I made that switch from XFCE to OpenBox, and you don't get icons on that. So it was kind of interesting.
Rob sends in his screenshot. Looks like he's got a directory full of goodies, aka the Linux Action Show potentially.
Nice.
And he says he's currently running Kubuntu 13.04 with backports. He's been a long-time SUSE OpenSUSE KDE user, but recently did the Chris Fisher 30-day trial with Ubuntu Unity on my new Wild Dog.
Right on.
Nice.
Right on.
Well, Unity had a lot of things I did like. I've been spoiled over the years with KDE, so I installed the Kubuntu meta package, and so far I really like it. I've got the best of both worlds KDE and the huge Ubuntu repos. He's got 4.10.3. I installed 4.10.4 yesterday.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ballsy.
Yeah. And he lists his themes as well. He's running two 1280 by 1024 monitors. And yes, the screenshot is last 2702
Right on.
in Dolphin. Very
That was a
nice.
good
With
episode.
Is that GK Realm? Is that GK Realm over there?
Might be.
It's still getting
actually.
used, huh? All right. It's cool, KDE user. That's cool. I'm not going to judge. Retro sends in his X-Monad setup. Again, with the, looks like another monitor there, which I've
Love that.
recommended before, just blanking on the name. Does he say here? No. But he's got Dropbox status, music, CPU, disk space, all up along the top here.
whole Monty.
Along the top here, he's got a, oh man, I wish I could see that a little better, but that's okay. Very nice, Retro. Very nice. All right, here we go. Here's Rick Axe. And he's got a little
action.
Sonic the Hedgehog
Nice.
retro. Look at that. He's got a Genesis emulator over here.
Very cool.
That's awesome. It looks like he's watching our media streaming episode of last in Chrome.
Very cool.
He must be using the he's using the YouTube player.
Nice.
And he just downloaded Sonic. So he's downloading Sonic. I wonder if I had made the Sonic Android app.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you totally did.
And he's like, screw that. I'm going to go get it for my PC. He's running 1304 with GNOME 3.8, the updated manually. Everything else is pretty standard. That image is what I was doing while I was listening to the program. And then here he is. Look at this.
Ooh, that's
rocking a little
cool.
blender, making a pretty swanky couch.
Yeah.
That's a boning man's couch.
Okay.
All right.
You got the curvature so you can get your groove on.
Rob Gore sends in his classic car picture of a KDE setup. No, this is Zorno. Yeah, GNOME 2. GNOME 2 Zorno OS. I use Docky, which he likes with the classic theme. The background picture was taken at a car show, which
That's
is what
cool.
caught my attention. And he also has an episode of Last running in VLC.
Wow.
Good
Right
man,
on.
Good man. He says loves Last and TechSnap. Keep up the great work, Chris, Matt, and Alan. Well, thanks, Rob. All right, we're almost done, Matt. We're almost through these. Randolph.
ASCII right there.
Randolph sends in his Mint setup. Now that's Seren right there. That's Serenity. I look at that. I just want to meditate.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's sexy.
He's doing
nice transparent.
He's got a dock down here, but it looks like it's not with the shelf. Check this out. This is all running on a Pentium dual core 3 gigahertz E5700 with
Whoa.
only 4 gigs of RAM.
Wow.
Linux Mint 14.
Wow.
1440 by 900 shot here, using an Intel graphics card and the Xorg driver.
Holy cow.
Yeah, well,
That's impressive.
that looks very zen.
Yeah.
I like that, Randolph. All right. Next one comes in from Rams.
Ooh, that's well done. Someone's got an
This
eye.
is Archbang with OpenBox.
Yes, that's very, very awesome.
Yeah, that looks
Nice theme. Nice choice of everything.
Yeah, that's nice. That's
really,
real nice.
Man, that really makes me rethink my desktop. Man. It's like, that's just gorgeous. It's like, say, I like that.
So he's using Conky and Tint 2 configuration modified from Manjaro. Oh, there you go, man.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I'm loving the. Oh, I love that desktop. This is gorgeous.
That is really good. Rams, good job. That's a good one. All right. Next one comes in from Pierre, and this is his theme on all of his Linux boxes, and he also puts it on his Macs as well. You can kind of see it.
Yeah.
kinda see
It's
it.
kind of a nice.
That's sort of the Mac skin for VLC. But this is actually better than the OS 10 setup, the way
It
he's
is.
got this menu bar along top.
It
That's
totally is.
superior to the way OS 10 does it.
That's funny.
It looks like he's rocking Synapse. He's got Dropbox
Yep.
on there. Another play on Linux user. That's interesting,
That's
huh?
cool.
I would question why he has to have Synapse up here twice. Don't like that. He's also trying out Midori, it looks like. I wonder what his thoughts on that. It says he's on a Inspiron Mini, Mint 15 with Cinnamon and Docky. He's got VLC graphite theme, and he includes, that's a really nice wallpaper. He
It
includes a
is.
link to that wallpaper, too.
And the Synapse thing, it could be just a matter of maybe it was set to run twice or something. You know?
Well, he's got like the launcher for it, and then that's the indicator that's running.
Oh.
But he includes, look, that link is from his personal Dropbox.
You know what it might be? He might not. A lot of people don't auto start it, and so sometimes.
Yeah.
And so that may be just when he wants it, it's there. When he doesn't,
This one caught my attention,
Ooh,
too. Another
nice
classic
car.
car one from Pressman 57. It's KDE 410 with the Oxygen theme on Arch.
As I say, I saw the yogurt.
Yort?
I always call it
Yeah.
yogurt. But yeah, Yort. I love that app.
He's got one-click reboot button. He just pushes it, and his machine instantly reboots.
I've done that. And
We're doing it live.
It's like, yeah, there's something to that. Sometimes you just like to have that. Where,
You see it right there, one click shutdown and
Yep.
one click restart. That's a power user.
That is a power
You know,
user.
like they
That's-
would never ship that by default.
That's awesome.
He's got the Oric GUI. He likes it. He says he's lazy. No, I understand.
No, I use it.
I like it
use
for
the hell
searching.
out of it.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
A lot of other. This is a great one.
Got some
Preston.
Netflix going on.
Yeah, he
Right on.
does. It's interesting. You know, I've seen a lot of these screenshots have Netflix in them.
See, and I've never gotten my brain around watching Netflix on
You know-
a PC. To me, just
you know
I'm
where-
not that person.
You know where?
I don't
So
know.
I watched Enemy of the State last night via Plex in the web browser, and I'll tell you where it speaks to me is dual monitoring it.
Yeah,
right.
that's
And I was
true.
working on the show notes, and I hit
Oh,
full screen.
yeah.
I go dual.
Oh
monitor.
yeah, while you're doing something else. No, okay,
Yeah.
that I could see that.
So,
Yeah,
like
interesting.
Ideally, like every now and then, I just take the laptop. I take the Bonobes out,
Right.
put it in my lap, and I watch it on the TV too. But you know,
We have an old iPad one that if I'm like sick or something,
TV box?
I'll just take it into the bedroom if
Yeah.
I'm feeling ill or whatever.
Yeah.
Go do that.
all right. Oliver writes in. He says he's got a dual-core Intel 4 with 4 gigs of RAM running Ubuntu LTS.
Wow.
You know, which obviously is XFCE and Firefox. Very, very nice. You know, this
Yeah.
this actually looks. I like this nice dark theme.
And I've actually had a setup very similar to this not too long ago.
Perfect example where XFCE can, which you theme it right,
Yeah.
XFCE can take a Pentium 4 with 4 gigs of RAM and still make it. This
Oh, it'll
awesome
run. It'll
machine.
run great because
Yeah.
really, at that point, your biggest expense as far as resources is in fact your browser. The rest of it's negligible. So.
Now Nogel writes in, and he's running a tiling window manager through and through. He's got
Yeah,
Xmonad.
that's cool.
He's fairly customized configuration. He says, however, he's included the XFCE 4 panel, which I thought was an interesting way to do this. So this is, I think.
Well, and I've done that in OpenBox. Sometimes you really just need to have that
I think that's been my thing. I think that's my thing. Is that would, and he's got the JB chat room
because
up
I
there,
need
too.
that pan. I just do.
Oh, now look at the mission control situation he's got going here.
That's awesome.
He's got the IRC in one window. He's
That's
got
so cool.
looks like his pictures folder in the
Yep.
other, and then taking the shot, and then he's got his system
That's
stats
really
over
cool.
there.
Yeah, because I mean the panel's going to give you the visibility to Dropbox. And
Yeah,
whatnot, and all
yeah.
that good stuff.
Oh, look, he's blurred some of the names.
Oh, of course.
I like this. This is real nice.
really
Nogel.
set
This
up
is
well.
There's a lot going on here, though. I don't know.
There's a lot going on, but that's cool.
Yeah, very nice. All right.
Showing off what that desktop can do.
We're down to the final few. Night Spirit writes in with an Arch setup, another tiling window manager, i3 this time.
Oh, okay.
Everything's pretty standard. He says he uses dmenu as a program launcher and UR Expert as his terminal emulator. And
Interesting.
he's also got the i3 bar in there. And then on his second screenshot here, he's got XFCE.
There
he
you
mainly
go.
uses it for his games that never want to work quite right using i3, he says.
It may just not be set up for it.
Looking like some of these XFCE setups are really.
Yeah, you can really. I mean, people don't. A lot of times don't realize just how hardcore you can theme the living crap out of it. You really can.
I'm kind of wondering if I should try out XFCE here on the old Arch.
It would be
install.
fun. Yeah, I think you'd find it fun.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes Unity can just look good. Million writes in here
yeah.
with his HP Pavilion. He's got 8 gigs of RAM, a 750 gig hard drive, running Mint 13. Oh, this is what?
Oh yeah, you can run Unity on Mint.
No.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I guess you could. Why couldn't
yeah,
you?
sure, absolutely.
I guess I just never.
There's
like,
a PPA for it. I
So
think.
then why the hell are you using Mint?
To troll because you can. I've done it. Everybody's. It's kind of like everybody's done something like that at once. I've done it.
Here he's using XBMC on the desktop to play
Nice.
it back. That's
cool.
hey man, I guess I never thought.
Maybe
You know,
for Mint tools, because I mean you can go the opposite way and do
That's true.
Ubuntu
That's true.
and do a PPA for Mint tools.
that's true. That's cool though. That's a great looking setup.
It is gorgeous.
Thanks, Million. All right, my cookie.
Ooh, pretties.
Ooh, this is
Pretty.
nice, clean KDE. Just a bar here, no icons on the desktop, and he calls it Arch, and he's keeping it simple. And then he has another workspace where he's got a lot more clutter.
Like that,
I do that too
it's
sometimes.
minimalist still.
Yeah.
It's very minimalist, and it's not screaming at you. It's not like orange or something.
McKayan, oh, this is pretty, right? He's running
yeah.
Bodai on Enlightenment. You're gonna get that special Enlightenment glow here. I mean, this is
Enlightenment's
nice
just sexy.
Oh,
It really
jeez,
is.
let's look at this. Look at this. And here's another shot he's got here with a little
dock going on.
Yep, little dock going on. Real nice, real nice. All right, our next one is Mega Cactus.
Oh, that's cool.
This is a great one. I'm rocking XFCE. Man, all these XFCE setups are
Yeah.
awesome. This background really makes it on this one. My GTK theme is Flat Studio, and the icons are from the ridiculously nice Forenza pack. Well, a lot of people like that. He's minimalist, but also look nice. And then he also has a GNOME shell set up here.
That's really cool.
But then he saw the light and switched to XFCE, he said. So there's that.
Yeah, you can really, if you got the time and you're willing to really just kind of tweak some stuff out,
Yeah.
little things, as far as like dual monitor and whatnot. Some of those things you need to actually just do yourself. But, for the most part, it's pretty simple.
Max sends in his desktop. He's got Crunchbang 11 with XFCE 4.8.
Score.
Gosh, look at these,
That-
man.
That's sexy.
Rockin' Docky,
that's
but he's
looking
got, I like the way he's done Docky where it's more of a bar.
Oh, yeah, right. He basically
that?
stretched it out. He did like the rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of
might
like
look into
it
that.
fills the whole bottom there.
I like the icon choice, too. The
Very
Chrome's-
nice
Chrome's
icons.
looking really good.
Yeah, that Chrome icon's great. Yeah, that's great.
good.
Good one, Max. All right, Martin D. Boer sends in this one. Here, he says, "Hi, Chris and Matt. I have a simple but beautiful desktop. It's OpenSUSE 12.2 KDE. I've installed the icon-only taskbar, which, by the way, looks incredible.
Yeah.
It really looks good. I've installed just 2 widgets, the folder and the shortcuts one. Gosh, this is a great-looking
It
freaking
is.
desktop. I love that menu.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
The theme is glass. That menu looks so good with that glass theme.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's some killer themes for KDE these days.
Gosh, look at that. Man, the Linux desktop can be beautiful. All right. Lickawin Diction writes in.
I'm going to say lick a chicken, as what it looks like to me. I mean, it's kind of little lettering's a little different.
I think you're right.
But I think it's a lick.
You're right, that is lick a chicken.
Lick a chicken.
This is my work setup. It's an Optiplex 580. The desktop is awesome window manager running on Kubuntu. So funny when
Man.
people mix it up like that. I love
That's
it.
cool, though. It's like they're oh, I got some start menu.
What is that? What is that?
It could either be VirtualBox or
Oh,
Strong.
look, he's got windows in there, and he's got a
kind of like a meh face.
it's Windows.
That's
He
awesome.
says, I'm an Emacs guy, so my browser is Concord, a Firefox modified to behave like Emacs. My terminal is console. He doesn't say what that Windows screenshot
could
is.
be a
in there.
VM.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you see it right there. Look, there's the VirtualBox
Yeah,
icons
it's a
right
VM.
there.
Okay.
Yep, I see it.
That makes sense. So it could be like a, who knows?
Lorenza sends in his TLDR Arch with Awesome 9.
Nice.
And different backgrounds. The system is Arch 64 with awesome window manager. He's included his image folder link on album. Wow, look at this. Look at all this
great.
stuff. Since you can't have different wallpapers in every tag, I simply
Right.
made it so that the desktop is changed when the tag is switched. He put a script to that in there, a little Lua script. He's got his Conky config included in here.
That's great.
This
That's
is
cool.
awesome.
That's extraordinarily awesome.
He's got a link to everything.
That's
this
so
is a great
cool.
one to check out. Lorenzian. Go check out Lorenzian. Look at all this
That's
details
so
he's
awesome.
included in here. The font pack he's using. Oh wow, look at this.
He really went to town.
Oh wow, look at this. This is awesome.
Man.
Good work, dude. Good work. All right, our last few here, Matt. Here we go. Logan sends in what has got to be the first return we're seeing of that good old Fedora-inspired theme. He says he's got Linux Mint 14, and it's the elementary icon set, and it is the Adawadia.
Adawadi?
Yeah.
I'm going to call it Adawadi.
Yeah. And
That's
then,
cool.
yeah.
Little ASCII art going on.
Yeah, dude.
Right on.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, next one comes in from Machete. I'm playing Ubuntu 13.04 with 2 monitors, with resolution 25060
That's cool.
by 1440 and 1680 by 1050.
That's
Fits
great.
all his programming needs. Love that background.
That's gorgeous.
Good robot
like
background.
a claw.
And he's included a link to that background if you guys
That's
would like to go
cool.
grab that. All right.
Yeah.
Last couple, James Doodle here from on Arch Setup, Dewandle. Doodle?
James
James D.
James D.
Jimmy
Yeah.
D. Jimmy D writes, since it's nothing grand, just a KDE setup. A lot of Arch, another Arch setup here.
Yeah. Some
He,
KDE arch going on.
Yep. He's using Archery. Plus, I also have a desktop cube set up with my other desktop, so it looks like Linux themes, but wallpapers are not friendly. Oh, I see what
Oh,
he's saying.
interesting.
He's got some nudie on his other desktops. He's got
not
some.
friendly. That depends on
Yes. Kizzy sends in this really slick looking one. This is Debian testing running KDE using Qt Curve,
Oh, right on.
customized Numix theme.
So
I haven't
cool.
found any icons I like yet, though. He says
That's okay though. You might consider keeping it where it is.
he's half the battle there. I mean, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Another Clementine user too.
Yes, absolutely. Subscribe.
All right, here's Jake Johnson's. Jake Johnson's got some nice dark widgets on his desktop. This is my first revisit to Linux Mint since Linux Mint 10.
Oh.
The distro is a Linux Mint 14 with the Oxygen theme and the Oxymentary icons. The widgets are standard KDE offerings. I tweaked them a bit to provide the functionality that I like.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Looks real nice. Looks like it's easy on the
Great
eyes
theme.
at night.
Yes, and I'm definitely going more and more toward those dark themes.
And he's got the green clock down there, so it looks like a high-tech old computer.
That is cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Little retro.
And then our last one, Daniel McGuire sends in his desktop. It looks like it's an Ubuntu Unity desktop. He said, I want you to know the girl on the image is my crazy girlfriend. And she knows I'm doing this just so she doesn't mind if you guys see the
awesome.
picture. I want you to know, I would like to see if you feature my desktop a cool Unity interface with the Ubuntu touch icons. Oh. Oh, she's got these are the new touch icons here, he says.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
That's
okay.
cool.
Cool. Well, there you go. Looks like he's got audio books on there and all kinds of stuff. And VirtualBox VMs. And what is he downloading here? He is downloading, I can't quite tell. 080. Oh, 080. Very nice. Have fun,
Very
Daniel.
cool. Good
All
stuff.
right. Well, there's even more, obviously.
Yeah.
We kind of had to cut it off at some point, and we might even have a few follow-up next week if you want to send yours into screenshot at jupiterbroadcasting.com. And also, let us know in the comments, either on Reddit or on YouTube, wherever you're watching this, what you thought of this style. I know is it monotonous, or did you enjoy? I like seeing people set up.
I think it's cool. It's voyeuristic without being creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys brought it. You sent it in. So
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, Matt. Well, that wraps up /Etsy. And that brings us to the end of this week's broadcast, Matt. Before we get out of here, why don't we cover some emails? Now,
All right.
/Etsy was basically all feedback.
It pretty much was.
Yeah, so we're not going to have a lot of time to do a lot of feedback this episode, but we're going to cover some, and then maybe we'll try to play catch up next week. I wanted to cover something that was really cool, very highly voted in our subreddit this week as well, linuxactionshow.reddit.com, by Kundacool. He sent in this link and said, I spent 6 months programming this web alternative to Adobe Illustrator, and I'd love some feedback.
Right.
Did you get a chance to look
this
at
is so cool. I admire that. It's just like
this is really neat. So yeah,
it's minimalist, but that's a good thing because it's clean. It's not all filled with crap you don't want.
Yeah, it's the basics right here, right? And you can
really neat.
Yeah, it is. It's a very cool start, and it's very smooth. Look at the drawing of this. I mean,
there's no drag or
it's
nothing.
beautiful. It renders it beautifully, and then you can share it, of course, and then link to the file. And he actually put it up there, and he has a little thinking animation when it's working.
That's so cool.
How impressive
Little throbber.
is this?
Yeah.
So if you guys want to check this out, we have a link to this in the show notes. It's a great demonstration of something that somebody in the community is working on. Yeah. And
Nice job.
a few years ago, you talk about doing some of these apps in the cloud. I hate using that term, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
People have said it's impossible. You can't put something like Adobe Illustrator out there.
Well, now people are doing video editing. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. And look, so now I have this uniquely shareable URL. I could share this to you, and you can work on
cool.
it. It's an awesome project.
Collaboration, I think, is really what sets the cloud apps apart.
Man. Yeah, I mean, that is why we use Google Docs.
It is.
All right. Shane Kufel mentioned that there is also a Send to XBMC add-on for Firefox. Now, last week we talked about Plex. Excuse me. And one of the things we covered was I have this little Plex button right here.
You're right, yeah.
And I click that, and it scans for video on the page and then sends it to my Plex server.
Bookmarklet or whatnot, yeah.
Same dealio here for Firefox. Yeah, I believe it only works on YouTube pages.
But that's okay.
But yeah, you go to a YouTube page, you click this button in Firefox, and it queues it up in your XBMC installation.
That's awesome.
So thanks, Shane, for sending
Very
that
cool.
Just a note of recognition to Mr. Stallman. He's been inducted to the 2013 Internet Hall of Fame on Wednesday, June 26, 2013. Free Software Foundation founder Richard Stallman joins the ranks of notable individuals who have been inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame for their significant contributions to the advancement of the global internet. So congratulations to Richard Stallman.
Good job.
Great job. All right, Matt, before we get out of here, why don't you tell people what they can find you doing throughout the week?
You can always find me at datamation.com, scroll down to open source, and look for my stuff.
Hey, that's you right there.
That's me, talking about Mandriela.
Nice. Good one. Good one. Well, I just want to give a special mention to Unfilter. We just recorded 3 sets of all of the stuff around the NSA warrantless wiretapping, Edward Snowden, the fallouts around the chase for Edward Snowden. Been a really great 3 series. I've been getting tons of positive feedback. If you're curious about what's going on, if you haven't been hearing the full story, go check out Unfilter. Just start probably with 3 weeks ago and work your way forward. It's been a great series of episodes. A lot of information in there. It's out there. You just got to find it.
Exactly. It's unfiltering that information.
Boom.
Boom. That's what it is.
Funny
it's
how
true.
that works.
It's true.
Tell you what, Matt. All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up this week's episode of the Linux Action Show. We'll see you right back here next week. Yep, we got wax. We got wax, Matt. We got wax. Hey, Matt. You want to do a segment on killing Google Reader? Actually, we don't have to worry about killing Google Reader. Google's doing that for us. You know what I'm saying? I just genuinely kind of have an appreciation for porn music. Like, I think it's this perfect balance of like. Don't you think? Like,
I know. It's designed to be cheesy, man.
No, man, it's a good balance of like grooving. You can groove on this if you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, you can groove on it, right?
Get your locomotive moving.
But it's not too in your face, so it's not like distracting you. Because, okay, as a content creator, you don't want the music to take away from your content.
No.
So if
and you
you've
need
got-
a little bit of repetition.
If you got people boning,
right,
you want to help the groove.
well, you don't need like vocal solos busting into the
Right.
whole thing, right?
Right.
You know, or anything like that being a little weird. Like I said, locomotive.
Yeah. Jeez, that
That was tasty.
I'm gonna need to take a walk.